The LCD, the lowest common denominator. How do you find an LCD? Well, let's go back to fractions. Let's find the LCD for this pair of fractions, 1/8 and 3/22, 3/22. So if we want to find an LCD, what we need to find is the lowest number that the denominators 8 and 22 will divide into. So the LCD is the lowest common denominator, the lowest number that your denominators will divide into. So to do that, what we have to actually do is factor each of these numbers to their basic factors. We call that prime factorization. So if I look at 8, what are the factors of 8? Well, 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. So we have 2 cubed, in other words, is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. And if we look at 22, what are the factors of 22? Well, we know 22 is 2, and then you have times 11. So 22 can be factored into 2 times 11. And 8 is factored into 2 cubed, 2 times 2 times 2. So to find the LCD, what you have to do is you take each factor and you take the most times, the highest power on each factor, and you multiply them. For example, in the 2's, we have a 2 here and a 2 here for the 8 and 22. But 2 occurs once here, but here it's cubed. So we're going to take the higher one, so that's going to be 2 cubed. And we're going to multiply that by each factor that we see. The next factor is 11, so we're going to multiply 2 cubed times 11. And so that gives me 2 cubed times 11. 8 times 11 gives you 88. So the LCD of these two fractions is 88. Now in this example, we're asked to find the LCD for these two fractions, these two rational expressions, 7x over x plus 2 and 5x squared over x minus 2. So the denominators are different, and we want to find an LCD, lowest common denominator. We notice that we have a denominator of x plus 2, and we also have a denominator of x minus 2. And so what does that mean? Well, since they're different and they don't have anything in common, my LCD is actually going to be the product of both of those. So my LCD will be x plus 2 times x minus 2. And that happens quite often where you get the LCD is the product of your denominators. We'll look at another example. In this example, we're asked to find the LCD for the expressions 6m squared over 3m plus 15 and 2 divided by m plus 5 squared. So we have, unlike denominators, we're going to find the LCD. To find the LCD, the first thing you want to do is break apart your denominators, factor them. And when we use numbers, we call it prime factorization. When we have algebraic expressions, we're just going to factor these denominators. So the first denominator, if I look at 3m plus 15, that's going to factor to, well, we can factor out a 3. A 3 is common to both here, this term and this term. So we have, that becomes 3 times m plus 5. 3 times 5 is 15. Similarly, m plus 5 squared, well, actually, that's just m plus 5 squared. That's actually m plus 5 occurring, multiplying by itself. So there's no further we can go on that. So we're looking for the LCD of these two expressions. And remember, the LCD is going to be, we take each factor and the highest power on that factor. So the first factor we can look at is 3. That occurs one time. And then m plus 5 is being squared here, so we take that one. So 3 times m plus 5 squared. That's my LCD of these two expressions up here. We'll take one more example. In this problem, we're asked to find the LCD of t minus 10 divided by 2t squared plus t minus 6 and t plus 5 divided by t squared plus 3t plus 2. So we want to find the LCD. Remember, to find the LCD, we need to factor the denominators firstly. So let's factor the first denominator. 2t squared plus t minus 6 factors into 2t minus 3 times t plus 2. 2t squared minus 3t plus 4t gives me the t, minus 3 times 2 gives me minus 6. And t squared plus 3t plus 2 factors into Well, factors of t squared are t and t. Factors of 2 are 2 and 1. And plus plus, so we get t plus 1 times t plus 2. So now, we want to find the LCD of these denominators. We pick each factor and we write it the most amount of times or that it occurs, or the highest power on it. So for example, 2t minus 3 occurs 1 time. So my LCD is going to be equal to, well, we have 2t minus 3. That happens 1 time in this factor. We have t plus 2 occurs here once, and it also occurs here once. So remember, we're looking at separate denominators, so all we need is t plus 2. Because that will satisfy this one, and it will satisfy this one. And then we need t plus 1. And so my LCD is 2t minus 3 times t plus 2 times t plus 1. Now the question you might ask, t plus 2 is occurring here and here. But it's occurring once in each denominator. And so that's what we're looking for. The highest amount of times it occurs in each denominator is what we're going to write down. So now you have an LCD. What do you do with this LCD? Well, you use the LCD to generate fractions that have the same denominator. And we do that by creating what we call equivalent fractions. So let's look at that.